The voting system is under attack now. Movements that are focused on voter fraud, on the integrity of elections, are crucial at this point. This is really, I mean, this is a war. A Democratic Party consultant once told me that Republicans have to win by at least 3% in order to win any election.
There are people who are deceased who have shown up as voting. I've actually gone out and taken pictures of the tombstones.
One lady asked the presiding judge, she looked at him and she goes, "I forget who I'm supposed to vote for." And so he went over there and he actually turned the dial. She pressed enter. He turned the dial. She pressed enter. We are not to touch those machines. We're not to tell anybody who to vote for. If they don't know who to vote for, you have to say, "I'm sorry." I did ask him, I said, now exactly what is the role of a presiding judge if somebody asks us and says they don't know who to vote for? He goes, "I didn't hear that." And he said, "It is your word against mine."
We recruited people, they went to work, and they saw corruption everywhere.
I think the public needs to be aware that this is real. When I tell a lot of people and they ask, you know, how did I know? And I told them by me working the polls, that if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have known.
We have two crucial elections coming up, one in 2010 and one in 2012. And the left has been focused on this for decades.
What we're up against was a huge organized group of people that were very intelligent and very well financed. And that is what we're up against. And if you think, and in my view, if you think that was bad, wait till the next time. Because since then, as you know, the Acorn people have opened an office in Houston.
Obama's very connected to Acorn, which is a voter fraud machine. Acorn is the radical army.
It's people who want to vote twice, or it's people who vote for someone else. It's people who are just trying to make their vote count more than the one time that they're allowed.
It's all very, very scary. And my conclusion to this, as a person that's been in the election world for years and years and seen elections, both sides, been in recounts, I've been campaign coordinators, I've been all kinds of things with people, Democrats and Republicans. This time it's a lot different because the fraud is so widespread and the people, the education they're getting is a really good education on how to beat the system.
There's a big silent majority out there that is suffering from all this.
It's really about truth. Ultimately, that's what all this is about. It's not about political party or Republicans or Democrats. It's just about truth. If we can create a system by which we vote and it's a true vote, then everybody wins.
True, the vote came from our experiences at the polls.
I think it's a tremendous idea to go out, as True the Vote is doing, and get people observing what's going on at the polls and learning much more about the way the electoral system is being rigged.
When we recognized the huge problem that exists at the polls, once you know that to be true, then how can you not do anything about it? If you don't do anything about it when you know it to be true, then you're complicit in it. And if you're complicit, when you see corruption, if you're complicit in that, if you go along with it, then you get what you get. You get an imbalance of our checks and balances. You get you get our country hanging by a thread. So it all begins and ends with the vote.
We have 9 state senator districts touching the Houston area. In the legislature in Texas, there is a 7-vote majority conservative. What that means is, in the big picture, is if we lose Houston, we lose Texas. That's how important it is, and that's how Acorn knows this. So they're right in our backyard, and we don't realize it because we go out every day and we think, well, we're in the suburbs or wherever, we don't care. But if we lose Houston, we lose Texas. And guess what? If we lose Texas, we lose the country.
The number one priority should be getting involved in the battles over elections. First, you need an honest process. So we need many more poll watchers. We need people to be very concerned about the integrity of the elections themselves, and then supporting of candidates, choosing of candidates, and then supporting them.
There are approximately 300,000 precincts in 3,300 counties in this nation. Imagine what we could do if we could mobilize only 5 people to each precinct, and that's doable. That's doable. If you started a precinct and then work to secure 5 where you are and reach out to your neighboring precincts, before you know it, we have 1.5 million people engaged in the process. And that's something that's never been done before in the history of this country. And if there's ever a time for it to happen, it's now, because the stakes are higher than they've ever been. And if we, both sides, if we stand on truth, if we just play by the rules.
Americans it's a sleeping giant. I mean, the polls show that conservatives outnumber leftists by about 40%, I think. That's huge. It takes Americans a long time to wake up, but when they do, they get the job done. So I'm an optimist there.
And what makes a difference in the election is voter fraud. And if we could stop voter fraud, would that just not be unbelievable?
If we have on the order of 1.5 million volunteers, people will never look at voting the same way again. They'll know when election day is. They will know that they have to vote. And the byproduct of that level of engagement is they're going to know who's on the ballot. They're going to know what we're voting about. They're going to understand the process in ways that maybe they haven't since Civics 101 in 10th grade. And that changes everything. Because if we can elect politicians who are true to their constituents, and if we can do that by delivering a true and honest election cycle, then those people in office will carry forward that mandate of truth, and out of that you get policy that reflects the constituents that they represent. So it's a cycle. But people have to jump in. You know, they have to jump in at the bottom level and true it all the way up. And it'll change everything.